Do you have napkins, cardboard boxes, and masking or painter's tape in your house? Most of us do, and in this video I'm going to show you how to use each of these common household items to make easy textured cards. Hello and welcome to Karen's Creative Cards on YouTube. I am Karen Heshik and I love finding fun ways to make unique handmade cards. Do you have cardboard boxes in your house? Most likely from ordering dies and stamps and other crafty supplies, right? I bet you do. Did you know that you can rip them apart and then tear off the top cover to reveal a neat textured surface perfect for masculine and other cards? So if you take a cardboard box and you just tear it apart and then you tear this top part off, and you can leave as much of this excess on here as you want, or you can take like a pick and just pick some of it off depending on how much you want left on there. You get a card front or surface to work on that looks like this. I just love that neat masculine textured look. And then for that one I took some brown ink. And if you just simply brush on some brown ink or any color that you might want, it looks even more distressed, and it's a really cool look. And all it takes is a little bit of muscles and some cardboard boxes, which almost all of us have, right? This is the first card that I made, and I sponged on that brown ink like I showed you and cut a piece that was 5.5 by 4.25 and then added some die cuts. This feather was actually die cut out of a piece just like this, and when you die cut it, it smashes it down, of course, but it's still really neatly textured and authentic looking. And then I sponged a little bit of the reddish brown ink on that and then added the white flowers and peace for a beautiful card. And I even added some of the Nuvo Shimmer, Aqua Shimmer, and I'm going to show you that later, to the feather just to give it a little bit of shimmer. I don't suppose that's going to show in the camera, but it's a really neat look. Here's another masculine card that I made. I decided to take a stencil and use blue ink and a stencil to stencil on the corrugated cardboard piece, and while it's a little bit difficult to see, it adds a little bit of interest to that background. And then I just cut a hill out of a brown piece and added some die cuts. So very easy to make lovely masculine or textured cards with cardboard boxes. So do you have masking tape or painter's tape in your house? I've seen some backgrounds made with tearing really small pieces of masking tape and layering them on top of each other over and over and over, but that takes way too much time for me. So what I tried to do was simply tear the masking tape and then layer it on the card. So if you just take a piece of masking tape or the painter's tape, so I did both of those and I'll show you examples. And you cut it or tear it longer than the piece that you need, and in this case I have nice wide tape that's sticking to my thing here, and so I just tore it, and then I layered several pieces on top of each other like that. And then once again I just took some ink, and you could choose whatever color you want, and then add some ink to it, and then that picks up, especially along those lines, the ink for a real neat textured look. So you saw how easy it was. On this one I layered the blue painter's tape, and then I die cut a die, I think it's a tonic tennis shoe, and put some black on there, and it's a really easy but neat textured, looks real like a real sneaker, using that painter's tape. This one, I made that background just the way that I showed you, and then I tore the edges and added a dragonfly and this background piece out of these were die cut out of corrugated cardboard pieces, and again, that when you die cut it, it kind of smashes it a little bit, but there's still really neat texture. This one was done in blue with a stencil, and this was done in brown, so that was combining both those techniques and products. And then this is a really easy background. I simply did the masking tape and the painter's tape. I have a sky, it's textured and really unique looking. And then this part here was done with the napkins, which is the third household item that I'm going to show you how to work with. I've shared in the past an easy way to attach pretty decorative napkins to cardstock, and I'll put a link to those videos in my description box. But I was recently introduced to another way to use inexpensive napkins in our card making in a video that I've also linked in the description box. Dave from Memory Box used plain white napkins and added watercolor to them for pretty textures looks on his die cut pieces. I don't have plain white napkins, and nor do I own watercolors. So I tried what I had. I had some just slightly colored napkins with a little bit of a pattern in there. And also I have Nuvo Aqua Flow brushes. So these have paint or ink right in them, and I'm going to show you how I made these cards with those products. So again, just regular inexpensive napkins and Nuvo Aquaflow pens, and having a little bit of a pattern in there, in my opinion, just added interest to these pieces. So you can see that little bit of a pattern in the napkin, and then you can tell, of course, that I used greens and blues, and I die cut some dragonflies and butterflies and a beautiful fern edging from Bright Rosa Designs on this card. This one I just die cut some flowers, and I'm also going to share, and I hope you can see the sparkle in all those pieces was added with the Nuvo Aqua Shimmer in the Midas touch. That's going to be the last step that we do for these. So the beautiful color is easily achieved with those Nuvo watercolor brushes, and then we add some gold at the end there. So there's another pretty card. This is one of my favorites. This is a beautiful new stamp I just got from Penny Black, and this is an older die from Diversions, and I just added some color, and again there's a little bit of the pattern in there, so it just makes it a little more interesting in my opinion. Here's one more floral piece I did. Now all the details of these cards will be on my blog, and links are in the description box, but that's another card that I made with this technique. This is the card that I'm going to show you how to make. I started with just 3 of those inexpensive napkins put together on a piece of white cardstock. Now I used an adhesive spray to get the last napkin to stay to the white cardstock. I found it was coming loose, and I found layering 3 together works best because I have pretty thin napkins. If you have thicker, then just folding it over and doing 2 would work just fine. I chose to use the whole napkin, and then when I cut the feather and the birds and everything, a whole bunch of them out at the same time. So this was 3 on top of a piece of cardstock, and then I took the dies and ran them through, and when it runs through the die cutting machines, they compress together, and once you cut it out, this is what you have. So those are napkins on a piece of white cardstock, and again that pattern is in there. I am going to show you how I made that feather, but let me just show you quickly. I also have a beautiful set of Clearview Transparencies. I've showed how to use these in the past, and one of my favorite cards that I ever made had a beautiful feather opening and then another feather, so I was kind of thinking about that card. This Clearview's one is called New Day for John, and it's a special one that has been released, and I will show in my description box where you can get these. I have chosen to work with this one, and I've put it on some ratio paper, so there is some shimmer in that background. I wanted the purple colors and the yellows to be picked up in this card. And so I'm going to put that behind. This is what the ratio paper looks like. It has some like texture in there, and it makes it really pretty. So this part is ready to go when we're ready for it. If you have your die cut or whatever it is you're working with, then you're going to pick out whatever colors you want in the Aqua Flow. I'm going to be using the Indigo Dawn one, but on the other birds, I also used a pretty blue and a yellow and a Aqua Splash one. You get, obviously you get a set of these, and they're really easy to work with. And then this is my favorite one. It is the Aqua Shimmer in the Midas Touch, and we'll add a bit of that after we're done. So when you have these, you simply push on, it says press, and you press on there. Now you could press it and have it come directly onto whatever you're doing, but it comes out pretty bright. So what I like to do is water it down a little bit, depending on the color, of course. So in this case, I don't want it quite so dark, so I add a little water. And then I personally like to add some glimmer mist. This is the iridescent gold, and I don't know if it will show when I mix it, but you'll see that that adds a really lovely touch to that purple paint in this case. Can you see that gold in there? It's really, really pretty with that iridescent gold in there. Now this is way more than what I would need, and normally I would have quite a few ready to go, but in this case all I'm going to do is brush this on to this feather, and so again, I don't have any watercolors, but I do have these, and they make it very easy to do. And again, I don't know if you can see in there, but that iridescent gold comes out in that as well, and so it looks really, really pretty. And as you can see, this goes very quickly, and the water and the color soaks into the napkins and makes them even more texture. They just soak into them. And then should have had a paper towel ready, but I'll get one. I'm going to clean that up with some paper towel. And then what I like to do is take my Aqua Shimmer Midas Touch pen, and again I'm pressing to get some out, and then I just like to add some shimmer to it along the edge and down the middle. Because you can never have too much shimmer and shine, right? Now this would take it takes quite a while to dry. So you can have it dry naturally, or you can use a heat gun, but and which I am going to do, but you don't need to watch me do that, so I'm going to stop it while I do that. So the feather is now dry and ready to go. It has the beautiful purple colors and that gold shimmer on there. And I've applied some score tape to the back, and I'm going to attach it to the card with that. I've put that Clearview's picture underneath and a feather opening. Both of these feather dies are older ones. I couldn't find them anywhere, but I did put a link to some other feather options. But of course, just look at the dies that you have and determine what might work with this technique. This is a sentiment from Sue Wilson and Creative Expressions. I'm finding that I am using her smaller sentiment dies all the time on my cards. As I showed before, I had cut out 3 birds from an older Impression Obsession set, and I used the aqua blue and the darker blue and the yellow for some different shades on there, and I am simply going to attach the birds with some glue dots. Here's the dark blue one, and that again has the shimmer in the wings and glue dots underneath. And then I did a yellow one, again with more shimmer. So our Thinking of You card with the napkins and the die cuts and the clear views is complete. I love how these cards turned out using common household items, and I hope they inspire you to try the ideas out. Thanks for watching, sharing, and subscribing, and thanks too for helping me share the joy of creativity.